Yeah. Well, I was doing it really fast. I was power walking. I don't know why it's not showing up on any of these ones right there. But
We got 1, 2.
yeah.
Oh, showing up on more.
Oh, there we go.
More.
Oh, there we go. I think that's probably most of it, except for those two.
That's fine. No one's sitting over there anyway. Welcome. Cole is not here, as is obvious by me standing up here. But it's all fine. Welcome to the September 15th general body meeting. Chad, if you don't know how to do before. Hey, we're starting on chapter 6.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go.
It's just me. If you haven't, sign in. I don't think any of you have the URL to this, so I should see all of the phones out signing in. I think we need a PSA on scanning QR codes, you don't know.
It's difficult. You can put whatever you want up there, and everyone in here will scan.
Well, that's perfect, because our next one is our link tree. Don't know if any of you need it, since I assume most of you are on Discord still, but there you go.
I need to sign.
There you go. Cool. So our announcements
Very nice then.
on this weekend, we're gonna have our next CTF meeting for Seesaw CTF. The time or the exact time on Saturday we're gonna be meeting is currently up in the air a little bit, but I'll announce that out on Discord in the next day probably. And the room numbers, since I'm wanting to try a bit of a smaller room instead of the massive room that I got last time. Again, 9:28, Codebreaker starts, so if you're interested in that, we'll have more information for you in the next week or so. NCL fall season, we have it on our announcement still. I don't think we have the form up on the slides, but if you're interested, look through our announcements. We still have the form up. So just signing up for that if you're interested in joining sooner rather than later.
We're probably gonna close it off this week, right?
Yeah, sometime at the end of this week, we're probably gonna close that. So then we have Dragos, the forensic CTF. You're leading that, Matt?
It's a OT forensic CTF, so OT stands for operational technology. So think like factories and really old operating systems and stuff like that. I've never done before, but it looked cool, so I'm gonna be leading a team on that. So if you're interested, let me know at some point. I'll get that started.
Awesome. Then on the 4th, we're going to have Makers. So if you're interested in joining that, I'll talk about it a little bit actually in the slides, but please join. News.
Okay, so news this week, kind of all over the place. So there's a new Agent Tesla malware variant. So if you don't know, it's a very popular malware variant. It's going on right now. It'll work and whatever co-ops. You'll go on, you'll probably hear about it. It's a new variant being distributed via Excel. So they're going after very old CVEs, which are document vulnerabilities. I don't know what they're now, but they're basically vulnerabilities from like 2017 that make use of just Excel being Excel, so you can actually like, I don't know how many you've ever seen, but like that enable macros button at the top of those, basically it relies on somebody hitting that button and then malware will be pulled down somewhere and do crazy stuff. So it's old technique, but people don't patch things, so it's still viable in some orgs. Apple issued 3 emergency patches to fix a vulnerability that could theoretically be used to install spyware. Good job, Apple, I guess. Kind of an interesting from North Korea. They are actually targeting security researchers. So Twitter is actually a really big spot for people in the cybersecurity field to kind of like break news and talk.
Aren't they been doing that?
Yeah, this was started last week. But yeah, so basically what they'll do is they will like you're a security researcher, you post something on your Twitter, and they'll be like, oh, hi, well, like, you know, make friends with you, and the next thing you know, there's
It's like
something.
a few years ago, I read about like, it's North Korea, their accounts were like, DMing people posing as researchers, trying to get information from security researchers.
Yeah, now they're actually like sending them malware and trying to like get stuff on them. So be safe on Twitter or X, or whatever the hell it's called. The ICC, or the International Crime Court, has confirmed that they're going to be intending to start prosecuting cyber war crimes. So that's very interesting to see where that goes. Big one from over the weekend.
Defined as a cyber crime.
They're working on it. So who knows? Who knows?
Fair game for the definition.
Yeah. If you didn't see over the weekend, MGM Resort suffered a ransomware attack. Huge hotel, casino, resort, whatever, in Las Vegas. I think. Their website was down, online reservation was down, and most in-casino services went down. So all your fun ATMs and jackpot machines. There's a source on Twitter that claims the group found an employee that on LinkedIn and imitated that employee, called the help desk, got credentials, and boom, just like that. Earlier today and maybe late last night, Adobe released security updates addressing a zero-day vulnerability that was affecting their Acrobat and Reader products. I deep dived this earlier today and could not find any more information on it, but it's actively being exploited to get code execution on the machine. And then update from the Russia-Ukraine war. I saw this, I had it in there. Apparently, there's this biography that got published by Elon Musk by some guy last week. And in this biography, it says that Elon Musk says that he directed SpaceX to interrupt local service to Ukraine to stop them from performing a drone attack against Russian targets last year. So it's kind of old, but I forget the reason why he said he did it. It was yeah. He said he wasn't being like thinking like political stance on it, but he was more just along the lines of like, and you can't tell, the Russian cyber activity is picking up. I forget exactly who did it, but some sort of official from the US and UK side of they're going to publicly say that it's picking up as if it's not been obvious for the past, like, I don't know, since cybersecurity was a thing. So yeah. Is there any other news they found this past week? Yes.
Did you hear about the new aliens in Mexico?
What's the aliens in Mexico?
Some dude came out with like evidence that they found an alien that's 1,000 years old.
Great. I have not.
It's worth a look up.
Okay. I will do that on our live stream.
There were also like
Photos of
2 aliens in boxes, and they looked like paper mache.
Who all was the career fair today? It's good, bad, thoughts. All right. There's like a lot of people there. I didn't go, so I didn't.
There's a lot, step it up.
so cool.
If you weren't here last week, on the topic of career fair, we did Rising Your Reason Career Fair prep. I guess if you want your, and we also had people talk up here talking about their golf experience. So if you want to watch that part, it's on YouTube.
I just Googled it.
That's all I have.
Doesn't it look like paper mache?
I was like,
They had like some
It
metal.
looks like, you know, like the
Metal.
Yes,
There you go.
they're like fake,
Like,
like this is
Yeah,
like.
and then like some DNA researcher, they like compared it against a million species and they couldn't find it.
you talked about.
No, I just have,
It's on campus.
but my friend
Yeah,
was
we're gonna
really,
get a little bit.
where is he?
He's right at
Down by, the rec center.
yeah.
What?
Where?
Yeah.
The other side.
Well, all right, we're gonna start our general content. So this is going to be a CTF introduction. It's not gonna be very like in-depth into the technical stuff. More wanting to try to give people some resources and for people who haven't done CTFs before. So what are CTFs? They're CTF is short for capture the flag. You're gonna have the flag is a string, so as you can see, you have examples of flags. Lots of time you're going to have the number switches for O's and E's and so on, but typically there might be something, I've seen some that are related to the challenge, some that aren't. It kind of gets all over the place, but most of the time you're going to have flag slug, which is the flag, or the RevVC, which is one of the CTFs that we host. And then it's going to have some text after it in curly brackets. So you're gonna have these flags sorted into a problem, and the goal is to find the flag by solving the challenge. We have a lot of categories within CTFs. The core, which tend to be on most every CTF, for the most part, are reverse engineering, where you're taking binary, taking it apart, figuring out how it works, and solving it that way. Pwning, where you're going, which is also known as binary exploitation, where you're going to be figuring out vulnerabilities within a software, and then you're going to be exploiting that software on another server. So that one's always a bit of fun. Web hacking is pretty broad when it comes down to it. Pretty much anything between SQL injection on some website that has a database connected to it to cross-site scripting or other such wonderful nefarious activity. You have crypto or cryptography, which is going to be an analysis of cryptographic algorithms. This will be figuring out, typically when you build these cryptographic algorithms, you can have a lot of problems with them. It tends to be one of the harder challenges to get into because a lot of these solutions are just knowing that this thing exists and that it breaks in this way. So it's probably one of the harder ones to, in my opinion. OSINT is pretty fun. Challenge is all over the place because it'll be anything from, hey, I took a picture of a hotel. What hotel is it? And, look throughout the entirety of the city. Or one of the challenges was just 3 pictures of random landscapes, and the challenge was to figure out the city that each of those pictures were taken in. So some of them will be like that. Other ones you'll have, my favorite one was one that was a trail of someone who left a review on the website of a hotel, and then figure out their Instagram account from that review to then look at their Instagram account, and the flag was hidden. If you know in Instagram how it crops the photo to be round and circular, the flag was literally underneath the crop. So if you just looked at the crop photo, you wouldn't know that the flag is hiding inside of that. And you have to use another tool to extract the profile picture. And then forensics, which tends to be network forensics for most of what I've seen. Sometimes you'll have computer artifacts, like the Windows registry or other things. I've never really seen a challenge that's more than a smaller computer artifact, mostly I think just because of space constraints.
For Pico CTF last year, one of the big challenges was when they give you a disk image, you have to use something like Autopsy to go through, find. I forgot exactly what it was, but there was some sort of like backstory to it.
That's pretty interesting.
It was fun.
Alright. So, learning to do CTFs, my main recommendation is to do CTFs with other people, as it tends to be more fun than sitting in a ring for 4 or 5 hours at a time on a weekend and going after a CTF problem. You also tend to have the benefit of a wide variety of experience and range of other people's skills that you can rely on to solve a challenge. So, say this upcoming weekend for Seesaw CTF, shameless plug, but maybe come to that, have some fun. And in general, it's just doing CTFs, and it's hard to really be taught how to do CTFs, as it tends to be more of a skill similar to programming. If you remember those early days when you learned how to code, where you didn't know what anything really did or anything really was. I'd also highly recommend looking through write-ups for those challenges that do solve. And there are a couple other resources that I'll be going through later on, but so beginner CTFs, if you're new to Linux, I highly recommend Over the Wire, Bandit board game that they have. It's an intro to Linux challenge. You have to connect to their machine through SSH, but outside of that, it's pretty simple to connect to and go through. I enjoy it because you can learn a lot about Linux through it. A lot of commands that, I know when I first did it, I didn't know all the commands in there, so it's pretty good. Pico CTF has a fun couple of challenges. If you've gone to the CTF lab, we've started going through some of those. They also have a lot of write-ups because many of their challenges that they have on their practice course is from previous Pico CTFs. So if you search up this challenge name and write up, you'll typically find something. Try Hack Me is pretty good. I haven't personally used it, but I've heard other people use it and have pretty good results with it. Yeah. But then Hackbox has challenges and vulnerable machines. You tend to not really find as many write-ups, so I'd more recommend it after you've got a few CTF challenges under your belt. But Home.College is another great one. This was made by Zardis at Arizona State University, and it's got a lot of introductory courses to binary exploitation, and they also have challenges in their dojo, so that I would also recommend. Some resources, I'm gonna post on Discord later in the CTF tab on the Discord chat that we have. I've got a bookmarks channel, and so I'm gonna post most of these bookmarks there. But there's stuff that I found pretty fun. So if you're looking for stuff that really shows you how to do things, I'd highly recommend Defend the Web. I found relatively recently, and it seemed pretty interesting, and most of it has seemed free. So I'd recommend that. Live Overflow is a YouTuber with blog. He has introductory videos that go into binary exploitation and reverse engineering. And then Home College I have again because that also has courses on it that you can learn through. YouTubers, if you don't know the YouTubers, you can look at them. I've seen a few of them, not all of them. I think I've seen everyone but David Bombal, or Bombal.
David Bombal.
So, yeah. Then we have some books in our cyber library over in the lab in Manti. If you're interested, talk to an exec. Probably you only get it during lab time, but we'll show you how to get to sign one out. And the other place to find them is actually in the CES library at the top floor of Rhodes. all the way in the back room has a bunch of books. I know I've seen the Practical Binary Analysis up there. So Hacking the Art of Exploitation is a book that goes through a lot of introductory parts of hacking, but it goes through each of the different categories of challenges in CTFs and really will give you an in-depth or more of a general understanding of everything. Practical Binary Analysis is good for reverse engineering if you're interested in that. And then serious cryptography, I have up there more because there's not a lot of good cryptography sources online from everything I found, and most of the time it's just gonna be random stuff that you found while searching. But that has seemed to be one of the more in-depth books that I've seen. So there's a bit of math in it, but it also gets into vulnerabilities for the different cryptographic algorithms. And then for the last thing I wanted to go over was some of the CTFs that we actually get into over the year. So the first two are MakeUC and RevUC, which we actually host. MakeUC is going to take place this fall, and RevUC takes place over the spring. If you're interested in helping to host it or work on challenges for it, we're going to start doing that in the next few weeks in the CTF lab on Mondays. And if you do help with it, you won't be able to participate in it or get prizes. So sorry, apparently there's a conflict of interest if you make a CTF and participate in it, but it is what it is. It's also good for service hours. If you have scholarships that require service hours, it's a 24-hour event. You can stay for as long as you want. So if you stay for 24 hours, you can potentially get 24 hours of service hours. So that's always good. And it'll be in the fall. NCL, or National Cyber League, is one of the other ones that we're going to participate in. It's our first year doing it. So as I said before, we have the sign up for that in the announcements. But the individual CTF will take place over October. Yes.
I can get more details.
Uh,
I can get more details.
Okay. And then the final thing is Codebreaker. This is the big one that we tend to work on. This is a challenge between different universities. So we kept the University of Cincinnati in the top 10 universities nationally for the Codebreaker Challenge in the past years. With last year, we had one person finish, and then 6 people complete task 8, which there's 9 challenges, so they got to the last challenge, which is also the most we've had so far. So in the next week or two, we're going to have more information about that, and I plan to, yes,
Was the one person you?
yes.
I wonder who the finisher is.
But we're going to have time, I'm going to try to set up time either on the weekends or during the CTF lab. I haven't decided just yet, but I'll announce that later so that people can work on Codebreaker together.
Also, where specifically were we at?
For last year, we were actually at 10, so that's why it's top 10. But before that, the year before that, we were in 6th place, and I believe the year before that, we were in 4th place. So mostly it's been the other universities have gotten a lot more interested in it and have started competing in it a lot more. I believe all but one university that came before us had more people in it. Well, actually, we have a Codebreaker up, so I can show the leaderboards for that later. But highly recommend it if you're also interested in working for the government. This kind of gives you pretty nice resume for the NSA if you want to do that. But yeah. So I think you have more information on NCL.
So NCL is kind of unique CTF from what I've seen. So there's, I know some of you in the room have done before, but there's essentially 8 or 9 categories, kind of like how Chad outlined, right? So there's the RE, the OSINT, the cryptography, forensics, yada, yada, yada. And they have those divided out into other problems. So like they have 3 different levels of problems: easy, medium, and hard. The easy ones are easy. And then the medium ones, a little bit more challenging. The hard ones might take them longer to do. But what's nice about them is they actually give you like they call it a gym, which is like for those who've never done CTS before, they'll provide you links to a bunch of tools to use. They'll kind of walk you through how to do some of the problems. And the problems that they have in the actual competition sort of emulate it a little bit. So you'll have some sort of familiarity going in. So it's a really good way to get started if you've never done it before.
Awesome. So, that is all I have. As I said, it's a bit more of an introductory. In the next week or two, we're going to be getting into technical topics and demonstrations of the parts of CTF. I believe next week we have first engineering, I think. I don't remember. But any questions? Or any slides you want to look at again, or anything of the sort? Cool. I was gonna go. Yes.
So how do you figure out which tools to use? Like, so you were doing people, right?
Yeah.
And some of the problems don't really mention, hey, you're supposed to use this tool. Is there like an information on this tool?
So some of the resources that are up there will include tools in them. I wanted to leave the tools for when I get more in depth into showing off some of the more technical aspects, because a lot of the tools, the hard part about them is also learning how to use them. And so I wanted to hold off on that to try not overrun people too much.
You'll also you'll accumulate them as you do it. Like you won't notice you're getting them, but then all of a sudden you'll have a bookmark folder that has about 20 links in it, and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm set. But it takes time to build just through CTFs, and a lot of it also comes from like talking to people who've done before. It's like obviously if you've never done before, you're not gonna know where to start. But there's I'm sure Chad talks about all the time. There's good spots to look, and sometimes there's a good Google search as well.
During the CTF event, live events, do you guys find yourself making tools for them?
Typically I'll use certain tools. So like the major tool that I probably use the most is Code Tools, PWN tools. That one is a Python library that helps with connecting to a challenge and giving it arbitrary input and other aspects of actually interacting with the executable. But I was definitely planning to save more of the talk on tools for when we got into more of the technical stuff with them. So I have up the Codebreaker page. So as you can see, there's actually a lot of people that participate in many of the universities. The only university that really, I guess two actually had fewer than us, but SANS Technology Institute, they had 4 people solve or finish, and then Strayer University also had 6. So as you can see, a lot of the points for the competition actually come from solve. I think the solve itself is like 2,000 points, if I remember correctly, or so. But you also get other fun things if you want to come up. I have actually the challenge coin that you get from it. So it comes in the box, and it's a pretty fun coin, and you get a fidget spinner. So you want to be cool and say you have a fidget spinner from the NSA. I mean, be my guest. It's pretty fun. You will get you will only get those after roughly 6 months after Codebreaker, I think. But you will get them eventually. Government might be slow, but most of the time you will get what they were going to send you. And they don't have anything else to use the money on, so. Yeah. Yeah, well, they didn't send it on 2-day shipping, I can tell you that. But then in previous years, you can see actually that there were quite a few less solves or full solves of Codebreaker in the last year. And then the year after that, literally no one in the top 5, I think, actually solved the entirety of the challenge. So it's gotten much more competitive if you're interested. And I think they announced it at the 28th, but from what I saw from the announcement on Discord, I believe that it's something in regards to a signal was found by the Coast Guard. Figure out what it is and what it's doing. So it's gonna be pretty fun. But yeah, that's it. That I
Paper mache ET.
if there are no more questions, that will be the end of the meeting today. Hope people enjoyed, and we'll get into a bit more. It's probably be around the start of the more technical talks. So, awesome.
Ice cream.